This tutorial is to create a portfolio website just like this, as beautiful as this website on your screen. So the reason why we are creating this project is, as an entrepreneur or as a creator or as a public figure, you need a portfolio. So diving into your journey to web development, you should have a portfolio. So that's the reason why I created this project, for you guys to have a portfolio that shows that, oh, I am a web designer, or I am a graphics designer, or I am whatsoever you want to be. All right, so let's continue this lecture. Just like the previous one, I taught you guys how to set up your working environment. So in order to do that, we should just jump into our code pad. So if you notice, there are some commented content on my Virtual Studio Code. All I basically did is to break down the website piece by piece. So it's going to be easier for us to build the website. So the first thing I did is to have my navigation bar. Inside of the navigation bar, that's where we have our logo that has this user's icon and the name Marvel, and our navbar itself, then this color mode. So the next is to have a container. So our first container is the navbar container. Our second container will be the header. So this header simply define our website, what it's all about, because this is what whoever comes to your website, this is where they will see, this is what appears first. Even this where the eye will even go to before the navbar. So the header is really important for us. Like you should see, you say, hey folks, I am a web designer, a UI specialist, and has the important button as well. So our next container I have is, if you look, is the products or projects. So projects, so that tells the past project we've done so far as a web designer or as a graphics designer. So the fourth container we have here is our experience and education. So this is not really important, it's just to tell the users or the viewer that I have such experiences and I have such educational background. So the last but not the least, okay, is good for more info, is pre-footer. The pre-footer simply tells us the location by giving it a map, a Google map, where we are in New York, USA, and says the hello and more information. So those who wants to contact us will see our number and email, as well as our social media icons. So this place is also the part of the pre-footer where anyone can contact us. Last but not the least is the footer itself that gives us our copyright and the designer. So the designer should be there. All right, so that's what I just did basically. And if you look the external, lastly is the fonts. So this external file is just simply external files we added into our website, and in most cases we'll have to import such like fonts, SVGs, etc., icons, etc. So we can easily do that by downloading them or using their content delivery network, which is called CDN. You know our CDN. Okay, so let's just do justice to it. Well, if what I just did now looks like magic to you, first I've taught you guys how to structure your code in our HTML classes. But to do that faster, like I just did, you need to download a plugin called NX. you go to your extension manager, search for this plugin. I already have mine installed in my device, so it will help you do that. Sometimes it comes pre-installed in some Virtual Studio Code. In some code editor, I use Virtual Studio Code. I'm just so used to saying Virtual Studio Code. All right, so let's dive into that. So where would all this content go into? They go into our body, be it the header straight to the footer. They are all our body attribute displays our content. This body element displays all the content, while the head does attach our external content and as well as give our name, our title. So for us to import these fonts, if we have to do it inside of our head, let me just stop. We'll come right back. So to do that, first thing we need to import is our external CSS that we saved in this portfolio folder. So we'll just type in link and hit the tab button if you have that's pre-installed I showed you. Okay, we'll type in style CSS. All right, we Command S for Mac users and Control S for Windows users to save your file. Then we've saved it already. So, all right, we'll start with our navbar. So let's uncomment this out so we know that's what we are working on. Navbar. We go to our browser and refresh navbar. Right. So the first thing we need to do is to first pass in our block level elements and give it a class called container, so that we will position all our content inside of this container. That means all of this information, all of it, we want to position it inside of a container that's inside of our body. Right. So inside this container, we also want to have our navbar, and to do that, we will just pass our navbar class. I mean, creating a new block level element inside of this block level element. Inside of this block level element is to create a new one and pass it the class called navbar dash container. All right. Okay. Inside of this navbar, we want it to have a logo, this and this, right? Okay. And we do just pass in our logo by saying dot nav dash logo. Yes, and we just write logo for a start. Let's move on. Write logo for a start. So inside of the logo, we also want to have a navigation list that contains a class that has a class called navbar. Yes. Yes, inside of the navbar, I think we have an on order list item and for order list item, which is about projects, resume. Just repeat this 4 times and change it. So all right. Okay. There's no need to start with the capital letter. We will do justice to that later. Projects, resume or resume. Last but not the least, contacts. Right. We see. So still inside our navbar container, we also want to include the last navigation content, which is the color mode, right? And we'll pass it a class because we still need to use this inline elements called span. So we need it later. Feature purpose. So we just to indicate or to identify this particular span. That's why we're passing it this class, which is a class selector. So we will call it color code and save. So then if we go back to our website, we refresh, you can see that, oops, okay, I was already working on something. Save. We save, we go back. Yes, we can see that we have all the information here. I don't think we need this number anymore, so we'll just comment it out. Oops. Oops, oops. Okay, we are back again. And you save, we refresh. All right. Yes, so this is basically the navbar, but it's not as beautiful as this yet, I know. So, but this is basically how to structure your navbar with HTML, and the next is to style them using CSS, because that's what we are here for actually. So for us to style this using CSS, we first need to start with the star sign or the all element, the all selector, or the all, this does the all selector, the star sign, and we pass in our padding to be 0 and our margin to be 0. The reason why we do this is because of you copy, you do the same thing for the body. The reason why we do this because of, by default, Chrome browsers automatically give us this unwanted space in our website. So I mean, we want to start from 0, right? So if we save this now and we refresh, you can see that all the unwanted spaces are gone. That's if you need, if you want to use the unwanted space or not. All right, so that's not necessary. If you want to do that, you do that. If you don't want to do that, you leave. So it's not necessary. It's not necessary. So you could style the, you could just give our background color to be white and you save, right? So the next we want to style is this, is still on the navbar. It's still on the navbar. And what you should do if I was to be you is to pick them one by one as well, again, the way we did before. So the next one is the content. The first one is the container. First one is the container. So, and the container is a class selector. So we just start. We have to begin. We begin our class selector with dots, and we pass in the name of the selector, which in this case is a container. So we will give our container a widget of 70%. Yes, and we'll give the height to be 100 view height to take up all the space. And we will give the margin to be auto because we want it to be centered. That's why we pass the margin to be auto, our content to be centered. And so that's it. So, but before we proceed, I want to take you guys back to my refresh. You can see everything is being centered, but you will notice everything properly soon. So this measurement units, as you see on your screen, it's all about defining, or it's all about calculating or being calculative with your website. So if you notice, right, this website is being centered at the middle. There's a space here and there's a space here. So the measurement units in our case is the percentage, the view height or pixel. So for you to work on your CSS, you need to use a measurement unit. So you could either use the percentage sign like I used here, or any other character you see, any other units such as pixel. So the reason why I use percentage and not pixel or any other one, it's simple. Percentage works more for general, as in for general purpose, and the pixel measures the screen pixel. So by the percentage is going to work relatively to another value, or to the okay, if we use pixel here and we go back, we refresh, you can see that the widget is different. So you just have to it's just the difference is just the size and the measurement size by its name. So if you just have a little note about measurement units and CSS, you will understand better. So let's not waste so much of our time and you just proceed further. All right. So we use 70%. Our container would be 70% widgets. We give no widgets. Refresh. See, it's all gone. Okay, so all I'm trying to do is to target the same size as this. Okay, let's see if we're accurate. We should give a border, not padding. Let's say 1 pixel solid view. Alright, refresh. Okay, we go now. You see, we are able to use our container to target the same measurements like them. Alright, so let's go back. We don't need this, so we don't need it here, so just comment it out or delete it by cleaning it. So our next is the class under this first block level element, or under this class called container, which navbar container. So we know now we are inside of our navbar. We are no longer in this body, in this container. So if you see now, this is a body. The body will start, and this is the container we are working on, right? So the body carries everything, and we are also done with the container. Now we are now inside of this navbar, right? So before we proceed, one thing I also want to indicate is, you see the way we call these elements selector body, and how we also call the class selector. You see the difference. When calling an element selector, you don't begin with a dot or a hash or any sign. You just call it by its name, body. Or let's say if we want to call the next one, I will also recall and notify you guys. Alright, so the navbar container, just copy, right, navbar container and paste to make sure you are accurate. Alright, we'll pass the position. We'll let the position to be, what position do they use? Okay, I think they use sticky or absolute so that wherever you navigate it goes along with it. Relative. So let's use relative on our own or sticky. So whenever we navigate, it goes along with it. Let's use sticky. So we will set our display to be flex. Yeah, so that is going to display like this. And we'll give our widget to be 100%, and we'll give align content, align item center, align content center. Justify content too, we give it center, and text align, also give it center. So click save, we go back to our page, refresh, that you see that we have actually centered and as well display the content to be flex. So we're not still satisfied, so that's why we have to push further. The next is your class logo. It's a class selector, so you begin with the dots and you will give the position to be there's no mother position, right? All right, class logo, Navbar Container, sticky. Relative, we don't want to be sticky because if you put in here, it's going to take from the parents. So we want it to be relative, and we will give it to be flex 1 rather than passing it a widget. We want it to be flex 1 because we've given it a flex a widget already, and as well as a display. You end with a semicolon, you save. So if you go back, refresh, you see that it has a widget of 100% of its own. So we will just continue, and our next is the navbar itself. So we'll pick the class, we'll select it by the class called navbar. So our code should be neatly arranged. We'll call navbar, and I also want to pick the on other items at once. So we'll style them all at once. Alright. So what we should do is giving it a display of flex. So it's going to spray. This is going to spray like the others. I will pass the padding of 0 top and 20 pixel sideways, and we'll give the padding length to be 0. And we'll give our list style type. You could use list style or completing where list style type to be none. Alright, so this list style type basically removes any style type. The one we did by default, it comes with circle. So to remove this type, so you could use any other one. You could use numbers, you could use circles, you could use and the rest. So if we just, let's say I want to change the list style type to be circle. Save. You can see that it changes the list type for us, but in this case we want it to be none because it's alright. So you can see they're all gone. Alright, so our next we're going to do is to pick the list item itself, because look, now we have not still achieved our results. So go back to our HTML and pick the list items. So you see the way, yeah. So you could see this UI, the LI, and the body. They are all elements selector. They are all elements selector. So you see, the difference is that you don't start them with a dot. You just write the name according to the name. So we'll give the padding of this list type to be top 0, 10 pixel. Save. We go back. Yes, we are achieving something. Okay. All right. So our last but not the least is obviously the color code, the color mode. So just give it a flex 1 and change the position to be lit. We say, yeah, you see, now we are good to go. Everything is intact. We can also give this to be flex 1. You flex 1. Let's see what comes out. And refresh. Yes. So all of them, they are not just displayed, they are also relatively proportional to their widgets. I mean, the 100% view widgets we gave in the container. So the measurement unit I use is percentage and rem. So with the view heights. So there are many other measurement uses like I indicated. You could use cm, you could use centimeter, you could use pixel, you could use millimeter, you could use inches, you could use anyone. So although notwithstanding that many of these has their own default way of using it. So if you look now, you could using percentage, it works well with fonts as for paragraphs and as well as widgets or line height. So you could see that for you to use centimeter, it works well with margin and these. You understand? If you zoom, by zoom you see them properly. It works well with a millimeter, works well with word spacing, and then you could see that the font size also work well with PT and rest. So, but we are using a few of them for now, and that's it. So let's see. You could see that we've actually gained this they are now displayed the same way. So what is left now is the icon, the side icon, and this side other icon beside the color mode. And if you look, if I zoom a bit, there's still an horizontal line beneath it. So let's proceed. For us to achieve this icon, there are several ways you could do that. The first way is you could add, not the first way by numbers. One of the ways is to add an image here and using some CSS styling. But that's not friendly advisable because in most cases the image would not have very good quality to represent what you want it to do. The next you could do is using an SVG by going to search on Google and search for the name of this icon and end it with SVG. So you see a lot of them, a lot of websites that will provide you this SVG icon. The last but not the least is the icon. So you could import the icon from using CDN. I mean, you could import the SVG using CDN or as well as using taking it directly to your website by downloading it inside your website. So, but we want to use icon instead because of it's more professional. Or HVG2 is also a good way. It's a good way to use icon. So what I will do now is to look for the site that provide us such CDNs. So one famous site for that is Google. So what you should just do is to go to this link, fonts.google.com. You hit enter. Yes. font.google.com. You hit enter. I'm going to leave the link in the description below so that you can as well get the correct link. So once you are here, what you should do is to search for the font you want to use. All of the fonts you want to use. By default, you can just use your default browser font such as sans serif or Roboto or Lato. I think those are open sans. No, sans, not open sans. Are like default. So we'll look for all default fonts we want to use in this tutorial, and just go back here and inspect. This will tell us the font they use. It's going to tell us the font they use. Font with good. Font family. Marvin Pro. Okay. But in my own case, I prefer using Montserrat. 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 Where is this? Oops, it's not here. Yeah, Montserrat. So you just click on it. Choose the thickness. The thickness is equal to the font weight. So just use regular and hit the plus button at the right hand corner of the screen. Select this style. So wow, we've selected a style. We look for more fonts we want to use. If you don't want to use just this, we could look for more fonts to use by searching. So I think we also need open source. Look for, do the same thing, hit the plus button. And what else? Lato. Let's use this hurricane. We need them. So once you've selected all the fonts you want to use, there are two ways to use them. So you can either use them by the link there, by the CDN. They are all CDN, which stand for just Content Delivering Network. That's what CDN means. So you can either use it by the link or by this import, by importing them. So let's use the Content Delivering Network. Let's by copying this, or you can import them. You can use the CDN links or you import them, but they are both Content Delivering Network. I'm just trying to break it down so you can understand. Either you use the link or you import them. So if we import them, what you should do is to copy this link, all of it, and go to your source code at the head. This is where you should paste all external links or CDN you are using for your projects. This way you should paste them. That is connected to your project. So This is one of the ways. Another way you could do is to import it, copy all of it, aside from the style, open tag and close tag, and you go to your style, the CSS at the top before the body, you paste. So these are the two ways you can import fonts to your website. So that's it. In order to access the font, you will go with their CSS rules by specifying the family. So okay, let's just continue. Alright, so we have gotten the fonts. One thing we should also get again is the icons. That's this. Let's not forget. Alright, so what we should do is search for account. Alright, or user. Look for anyone similar to your project. Okay. Alright, let me use this. Now you can see, you can either download the SVG, or you import it. You have to choose one. Well, I couldn't find either the SVG or the image. I couldn't find this sweet font, but we could try other store like Font Awesome or Ion, anyone. So icons for website. Yeah, do a very simple Google search. Go to Font Awesome and search for users. Okay, get started for free. Icons and search users. And we search users. Yeah, I mean there are lots of options. So you should just choose whatsoever icon you want to use and you select them. So to use this, first thing you need to do is to go to use any website's property. First thing you need to do is to go to that docs, that start for documentary, and read about it. So there they will explain it step by step how to get started with it. So if you see now, you click get started if you are new. Yes. So but what I'm looking for here is just searching for the CDN. So you can understand how easy it is. Always the CDN setup. website is too already. Network. Okay, I got it. Think so. CDN. CDN. Okay, still fine. But you return back to I knew it. This is material items. I think then I'll go to material. Oops. Oops.